Hi, Mystery Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain two short movies named Predator: Dark Ages and The Dollmaker. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Predator: Dark Ages. The movie opens as a blood-soaked Englishman runs across a vast grass field. He has an axe in his hand and constantly looks back. However, whatever is chasing him suddenly appears in front of him and ends his life. The scene then shifts to a campsite near the eastern borders of England. It is the 12th century, and the whole nation is feeling the effects of the Crusades. After a while, a group of 5 Templar knights, led by Marshal Thomas, arrive at the camp. They are greeted by the head priest Joseph, who had urgently called the marshal from the battlefront. But the priest is left bewildered when he sees a woman riding among the knights. He says that a battlefield is no place for women, but Thomas vouches that she is just as competent as any man. Next, the priest pulls Thomas to the side to talk about the urgent matter for which he was summoned. It is revealed that the Templar Knights have been hunting a strange demonic entity who has been terrorizing England for a while now. To help them in his quest, the Archbishop has summoned an Islamic scholar from Jerusalem named Saeed. However, when Priest Joseph takes Thomas to a tent and introduces him to Saeed, the Christian knight gets extremely angry. He flat out refuses to take any help from their enemy. After all, they have been at war with the Muslims for centuries. The priest, however, reveals that Saeed has faced this demonic entity firsthand and can provide valuable help in their mission. This finally persuades Thomas, and he agrees to partner up with Saeed. Following this, Thomas and his group, which includes the female knight Kayla, Godfrey, Joe, and Richard, begrudgingly accept the newcomer. They then head towards a nearby forest where the demonic entity was recently seen. On the way, Richard asks Saeed what he knows about this beast they are hunting. In response, the Muslim scholar says that he first saw it in Jerusalem. They tried their best to defeat it, but failed catastrophically. Only when the demon satisfied its hunger, it moved on from Jerusalem to England. However, he also makes it clear that he has no idea how to kill or defeat it. Nonetheless, the group moves forward deeper into the forest. They follow the marks on the ground that were caused due to the demon dragging Christian soldiers. The trail soon splits into 2, and both tracks have drag marks. Thus, Thomas is forced to break his group into 2. Kayla, Godfrey, and Saeed are paired to follow the left track, whereas the rest will go towards the right one. They promise to meet at this spot by nightfall before heading their separate ways. After a while, Thomas and his group come across a gruesome sight. The flayed bodies of 3 Christian knights have been hung on a tree. On the other hand, Kayla also finds something deeply concerning. The drag marks suddenly vanish, and there are absolutely no further signs anywhere around them. Just then, Saeed hears something above them and sees the trees rustling unnaturally. This makes him realize that the demon had set up the tracks to lure in potential victims. The 3 of them then take their swords out and get ready to face their elusive foe, but they are of no match against the demon as it suddenly appears behind Godfrey and pierces him with its sword-like claws. A scared Saeed yells for help, which is heard by Thomas and his group. However, before backup can arrive, the demon rushes away from the spot. Kayla refuses to wait and runs behind it despite Saeed's warning. Soon afterwards, Thomas and the other knights arrive, only to see Godfrey's lifeless body on the forest floor. Saeed informs them about Kayla, and all the men run towards her general direction. Unfortunately, it's too late, as they hear her screams echoing through the forest. When they finally track her down, the beast has already killed her. The men watch in horror as her lifeless body lays on the floor without a head. Saeed then explains that the demon collects its prey's heads as trophies. Following this, the men once again split up into 2 groups to track down the enemy. Joe and Richard go towards Godfrey's body, suspecting that the demon will be there to collect his head. On the other hand, Saeed and Thomas press on deeper into the forest. However, their plan soon unravels like a house of cards. While running back to Godfrey's body, Richard steps on a trap set by the demon. A high-tech net then springs right across his face, causing him to fall down in agony. Joe tries to rescue his partner, but the demon suddenly appears behind him. Although he is scared, Joe takes his sword out and puts up a good fight. Richard also shoots an arrow on the demon's back while it's busy fighting, but the strange beast is too powerful and too advanced for them. It uses its laser-guided gun to obliterate Richard's skull into pieces. Talk about a dickhead. Then it slices slices Joe's abdomen until his guts spill out on the forest floor. Not far off, Saeed and Thomas hear the noises from this battle and rush to the spot. By the time they arrive, both the knights have suffered horrible deaths. Thomas is incensed by the loss of his men, while Saeed is scared shitless. The latter suggests getting out of the forest while they still can, but Thomas refuses to do so. Nonetheless, Saeed wishes him good luck and runs away, hoping to make it out of the forest alive. If this Saeed is anything like the one from Lost, his ending won't make any sense. That night, Christian Marshall Thomas gears up for one final battle of his life. He lights a torch and begins beating his shield loudly in order to lure in the demon. Saeed, who has been continuously running ever since he deserted Thomas, also hears the thumping noise. Shortly afterward, the beast finds Thomas using its heat-seeking vision. It takes out a sword and gleefully roars at the prospect of a duel with the human. A fierce battle then ensues, where Thomas lands some good hits, but the demon is so strong and laced with futuristic technology that the Christian knight is of no match. It breaks Thomas's sword, grabs him by the neck, and is about to end his life. But at this moment, Saeed sneaks behind it and places his sword to its neck. He then bargains with the demon. If it spares Thomas's life, he will spare its life. Surprisingly, the demon recognizes that the two men have conquered it and accepts defeat. It then retracts its claws and heads away without harming anyone. However, before leaving the battlefield, the demon takes Thomas's helmet for his prized collection. The two humans then watch on as it gets on an alien ship and vanishes away into the sky. They have no idea that it was actually an alien predator species, which uses Earth as recreational hunting grounds. As the credits begin to roll, Thomas thanks Saeed for saving his life. The Muslim scholar responds that returning to save him was a matter of honor. Number 2. The Dollmaker. The second movie opens at the funeral of little Max Dayton, who is barely 8 years old. His grieving mother, Jenna Dayton, finds it almost impossible to get over this heartbreaking loss. She therefore contacts an old man who specializes in making supernatural dolls. He claims that his dolls come to life and act as a surrogate child to the grieving parents. Currently, he asks Jenna for a set of clothes that her son actually wore and cautions her not to wash them. He will also need the child's lock of hair and a valuable possession to make the magical doll. Pam asks if Max's baseball mitt will work, and the old man answers it will work as long as the kid cherished it. The grieving mother is unsure about the whole process and asks if this magic doll will even work. In response, the old man says that none of his clients have ever asked for a refund. On the other hand, Max's father, Aiden Dayton, who has been listening to this conversation, has his reservations. He loudly exclaims that this whole magical doll thing is simply a sham. Nonetheless, he cannot change the mind of his grieving wife. A few days later, the old man unveils his magical doll, which looks nothing like the real Max. However, he confidently urges Jenna to hold it and see the magic for herself. She cautiously comes forward and reaches out for the doll, only for a real human hand to grab her arms. A speechless Aiden watches on as the doll transforms into a real baby, their son, Max. This scares him, and he urges his wife to think the decision through, but Jenna hands the old man a wad of cash and says she will keep the doll. Following this, the old man takes them through the instruction manual on how to use the doll. The scene then shifts to the Dayton household, where the old man has now kept a strange hourglass that contains black sand. He says that the effect of his magic only works within the house. As soon as they step outside, the doll will change from a breathing, living Max to a simply lifeless doll. Most importantly, he warns the couple to use the doll for a maximum of 1 hour a day. If they continue using it more than that, their perception of reality and delusion will be blurred. Eventually, they won't be able to separate who is actually living and who is simply a doll. Just like your average Funko Pop collector. Months pass by, and Jenna disregards every rule that the old Dollmaker told her to strictly follow. She continuously sits with her doll, which she sees as her son, all day and night. Things get so bad that the whole house is littered with dishes and rubbish. She can no longer tell what's real and what's not. One morning, a visibly emotional Aiden begs her to get herself together. He says that the doll has created a distance between them and urges her to see the truth. He even reminds her that their son is actually dead. Despite this, Jenna refuses to see reality and continues to feed the doll like a real human. Fed up, Aiden grabs her hand and forcibly drags her outside. But as soon as he pulls Jenna out of their house's main door, a shocking truth is revealed. He is actually grabbing Jenna's magical doll and not the real her. It is then revealed that she had passed away a few weeks ago, spending too too much time with Max's doll had driven her crazy. When Aiden snatched the doll away and locked it in a box, she couldn't bear the weight of reality and eventually passed away. After his wife's death, Aiden grew restless and visited the Dollmaker once more. He gave the old man his wife's clothes, a valuable possession, and a lock of hair. A few days later, Aiden took home Jenna's magical doll, and just like his wife, he ignored all the rules and eventually couldn't remember that his wife had actually passed away. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.